everyone. You are now tuned in to In the Boardroom podcast. I am your host, fashion designer, author, and entrepreneur, Drina Martin Tomer, and thank you for tuning in. Now, if you missed the last episode of In the Boardroom podcast, we were talking to Samantha, and we were talking about all things financial planning, credit repair, and just different wealth building things. So she gave us the name of her website and organization. So be sure to check out the last podcast episode. Now, today we have another special guest. He was a colleague of mine at Tuskegee University, and he definitely has a story to tell. This man went from being homeless to being one of the top motivational speakers in the world. So we're going to go ahead and bring him on. Stay tuned. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to In the Boardroom podcast. And like I told you before, we have a very special guest, Mr. William Hollis. Now, this is somebody who I went to Tuskegee with, and ever since then, he has really made a name for himself. He pretty much built his brand from the bottom up. He was homeless, and he had a lot going on. So I'll go ahead and bring him on and let him tell you more about his story. So, hey, William.
How you doing, Queen? It's a pleasure to be on your show. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on and taking time out of your day to be here with us. And I know for a fact that the listeners are definitely going to gain some good knowledge and be inspired with your story. So I want to go ahead and get right into it. So pretty much give us a little bit of your background and how did you end up at Tuskegee?
Well, how I got to Tuskegee was I had became an All-American at Clark Atlanta University. And after that year, I was nominated for the D2 Heisman Trophy, which is the Harlan Hill. And Terry Bowden had gave me a call and asked me did I want to transfer from there to North Alabama. So I had left Clark Atlanta after the biggest season of my career, my college career, arguably the biggest season of my college career. And I went down to North Alabama. I started to train, worked out, went through camp, the spring camp, and then I was getting ready to go to summer camp, and I got a call that my daughter Halo was being born. So I flew to Boston to give birth to her, and the day after she was born, her grandmother was paralyzed leaving the hospital. So this means the mother of my child had to take in custody of her little brother and sister. So I basically had to leave school. I basically had two choices: play football or take care of my daughter. The mother of my child needed me, so as a man, I left school and I went to go help take care of them, and I worked every single day. I had days where I was pretty miserable. I felt like, how could God do this to me at this time when I'm so close to the NFL and my mother's back home struggling on drugs, and I just, I felt helpless. And, I worked and I got them situated. And one day I called Keith Higdon. He was an offensive lineman coach at Tuskegee at the current time. And he basically told me, William, I can't promise you no scholarship. You've been out a year. You have to earn it. I don't know where you're going to stay. I don't know how you're going to eat. But all I can do is promise you an opportunity. So I took that opportunity, and I went down to Los Angeles, California to train and get back in shape before I left. And a week into training, I get a call that, my mom passed away of a heroin overdose. So, my whole life, I had like a ticking clock, you know what I mean? And all I really wanted to do, and I don't know why I was like this as a kid, but all I really wanted to do was to save my mother, you know what I mean? Spoil her, give her the world. I never really did nothing for myself. Like, it always was for my brothers, my sister, and my mother. I was always mature. I always thought about the future. I never dwelled in the present most of the time. I always thought about the future because my present was so ugly that I wouldn't allow myself to look at it mentally. You know what I mean? I knew that if I wanted to make it out of there, I was going to have to live inside my head. I was going to have to remember every beautiful thing I saw in that short time of my life. And what it did was me being tunnel vision for the future, it basically blinded out the negative. You know what I mean? It blinded it out because I believe success is like a drug. You know what I mean? Like, once you taste a little bit of it, you want more of it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And sometimes people judge the success by, huge accomplishments, but sometimes those small accomplishments. You know what I mean? Like, you get that C when you kept getting that E in that English class. You know what I mean? When you go from hitting 225 to 245, that was the thing that had me excited. You know what I mean? Anything that I could do to make myself better, or I could show myself that I'm better in, it kept me motivated and it kept me going. So, after I buried my mother, I realized that my whole life I wasn't doing it for William Hollis. You know what I mean? Like, I realized that football really wasn't what I loved. But at the present time, I had to keep playing it because that was all I knew. Right. So after my mother's, after I put, we finished the funeral, and they asked the kids to stand up and give a few words. My brother and my sister, they were crying, they were hurt, and I'm the only one that had the strength to stand up and give a speech. And I tell a lot of my fans that my first time ever giving a speech was at my mother's funeral. That was the first time I ever did public speaking, was at my mother's funeral. And after I finished, the old woman told me that was the most beautiful speech I've ever heard. But at that time, I had no idea that that's what I would do in my life, but I took it and I remembered it. I went out to Tuskegee. I messaged a friend and asked him, can I sleep on this floor until I earned my full scholarship. And I want you guys to pay attention to something. I said, until I earned, that I knew I was going to get it.
Right.
And that's a message that I tell the people, that when you have obstacles that's so large, I want you to go out and say right away that I will make it. I will be successful. I will make this happen. Because a lot of inner city kids in the areas that we grow up in, they don't believe. You know what I mean? They don't believe that they can be anything they want to be, but they also don't understand that they are the best gifts that God placed on this earth. Because you got to understand something, man. The foundation. If you think about foundation, Quinn, you think about the foundation. A foundation of a home. It all starts from the bottom. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And the only thing that matters in that project is what you build what you build on top of your foundation. You can either put drugs, crime, murder on your foundation, or you can put serving, education, and knowledge on your foundation.
Right.
We all got our own foundation. We all are born with our own foundation. You know what I'm saying? And like I tell a lot of business people, I was talking to a friend of mine that worked for Enterprise down in St. Louis, and I was telling him, I was like, man, he asked me actually, he was like, well, how are you building such a huge fan base at a rapid rate? I said, because what I'm doing is, if you look at a mansion's foundation and you look at an apartment's foundation, which is bigger? The mansion foundation. So, the more places I go and give my gifts, St. Louis, Michigan, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Alabama, Atlanta, all over, I'm building a foundation that's connected to every single one of those places.
Right.
So when I set my house on top of it, it's going to be one of the most beautiful homes you ever seen in your life. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be absolutely beautiful. And it's because I am willing to put the work in each place, to do the same thing in every different place, the same struggles in every different place. If you're not willing to do what hurts you continuously, when it comes to your dream, you will never be great.
Right.
could never be great.
Now, William, I want to stop you now because I want to ask you how, now going back from when you call your friend in Tuskegee to sleep on the floor. Now, was that at what point did you end up homeless? And I really want you to tell people what was the turning point for you from getting homeless to going on to be one of the top motivational speakers.
Well, after I did all that, I came to Tuskegee and I earned that full scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a coach that knew my family history. My dad was a huge known gangster, per se, and he knew a little bit about that. We got the same name. And, he called me a thug. He told me I'd never make it. And I was one of the best, if not the best defensive player on the team that year. And they never played me at all. You know what I mean? I was literally stopping a whole offense in practice. The head coach saw it, but, coaches got this thing where if one coach say something, then the whole coaching staff got to ride with it. Mm-hmm. But it was a thing that, like I said, everybody in there and their mama knew that I was supposed to be on the field. So at the end of the day, that was God's plan. But this was God's plan also. I also realized that God was continuing to show me that football really wasn't for me. So I go and get make a team down in Columbus, Georgia, with 5 games left in college football, my college football career, and I go make a professional arena team down in Columbus. We call it Columbus Lions. I move out of there and go down there to a condo, and we live beautiful. I played very well, and then a divorce came. I was married, and that broke me. A coach released me from the team. He said I wasn't mentally stable. He was afraid for my life. And what happened was I went down to Michigan, and I slept on my sister's couch, and I would cry every single day. I was down. I was broken. And she would tell me, one day she walked in the house, and she threw her bag down. She was a nurse. Sister and I were 5'2", if that. And she threw her bag down. She said, William, you are the strongest in our family. You buried your mother, and you're going to let this woman have you like this. Mm-hmm. So after she told me that, I said, I'm getting up. And I started to fight. She gave me a free membership at the YMCA where I could go work out. It was my nephew card. And I snuck in and worked out to get back in shape. And then out of all people, I get a call from one of my mother's childhood friends. And he's now a professional bodybuilder at this time. Mm-hmm. And the story was, he saw me writing suicidal messages on Facebook statuses, and he said, I want to help you like your mother helped me. And I said, how my mother know you? She said, when I went to school in Pontiac, Michigan, your mother used to take up for me. I was little and tiny. He said, now this guy's telling me this is my opportunity, it's my time to help her son. Mm-hmm. So they flew me to Toronto, Canada. I stayed in Toronto, Canada, and trained every single day. 6 weeks into training, my trainer goes to jail for tax evasion. Mm. I'm homeless in Toronto, Canada. I find this Jamaican family. One day I was eating in the mall, and this old lady saw me, and she told me, she caught me grabbing something out of the garbage can to eat. And she said, what are you doing? And I said, I'm trying to survive. So she knocked that out of my hand, and she bought me a meal, Chinese food. And she said, this was a Saturday. She said, tomorrow I want to pick you up, go to church. She's like, you have a home? I said, yeah, I got a home. So I went back to the train station. The train station was my home. And she came to pick me up the next day, and she said, where to meet you at? And I told her, okay, you can just meet me by the train station because it's hard to find the address. So I did that, and she stayed in touch with me for about 2 more weeks, and we did that about 2-3 times until one day she said, you don't have a home. Because she caught me throwing my bag. She got there 20 minutes early than what she said she was going to be. Wow. And she caught me throwing my bag in some bushes that I hid my stuff at. And she immediately got me in contact with her daughter. And her daughter moved me in, helped me. They showed me love. They showed me affection. They showed me what true family is and what good people really look like. And, I worked hard to the point where I got a call from, what's that team called? The Albany Panthers. And I was supposed to sign with them. I already signed with them. And I think it was 2 weeks before I was getting ready to leave the camp, they said the team had folded. It won't be a team. And after that, I went back to Tuskegee, and people didn't know I slept in the shed.
Wow.
I was back and forth in the middle of the summertime until I got a call from another arena team in Rome, Georgia, and they flew me down. They told me they was gonna give me a great home and feed me and take care of me, and they basically lied to me. They gave me peanut butter and jelly, ramen noodles, to the point in the first game I had a mini stroke 3 days before the first game. And I went out there and played the worst game of my life. They cut me. I was back homeless. And then they told me that there was a team in New Jersey that said they'll give you a tryout. Not a contract, not a guaranteed contract, but a tryout. But you got to get your own bus ticket and get all the way down to New Jersey from Rome, Georgia.
Wow.
So I called my baby mother, the mother of my child, and I asked her. I said, "Can you help me one last time?" She sent me the money. She got the ticket. I got the ticket. I went down there. It was about 20-something hours it took me to get there. It was forever. I got right off the bus. Coach picked me up in Philadelphia. Philadelphia. Drove to New Jersey. Went to practice. I had a granola bar. That's the only thing I ate. 20-something hours.
Wow.
I went out there. I dominated. I made the team. And before that season was over with, I had broke the single-game sack record on Mother's Day with 4.5 sacks in one game. And I was second in the league in sacks, and I missed 3 games. And what I noticed in that time, I noticed that God had truly given me a gift. God had truly put His presence around me. Because when I came out there, I could have failed. You know what I mean?
Right.
I could have, everything could have went wrong. A coach promised me after that season that I was going to get signed by a bigger team. Bigger teams came, but he was telling them that I wasn't mentally ready to go. He was lying to the people.
Wow.
Because he wanted me to help him win a championship. So, at the end of the season, he turned his back on me. I was back homeless. I was sneaking in and out of the hotel that I was living at when the season was on, and I convinced a manager to give me a job as a front desk rep. My first job ever. So I worked there, and they told me that I wasn't allowed to live in the hotel, but I worked there. But they knew I was living in there. I knew I was living in there.
Right.
So, the manager get fired. They found out I'm living in there. They fired me, and I'm homeless outside of the hotel. And where was it at? It's in Point Pleasant, New Jersey. And basically, I hitched a ride to Dover, Delaware with a friend. Slept outside. He dropped me off, and I slept outside on the side of a Turkey Hill gas station. You know what I mean? I slept outside of a Turkey Hill gas station. And, I was trying to figure out my life. I was trying to figure out what to do next. And a coach that I broke the single-game sack record on, Bernie Nortowski, he was on Facebook one day, and he had cancer. He was in the hospital. And he asked me, "Where are you at now?" I said, "Coach, I'm in Dover, Delaware. I'm homeless." He said, I'm coming to get you. He moved me in his house in Reading, Pennsylvania. An Italian man. All white neighborhood. Only black kid in there. And he put me in the basement. He said, you can stay here as long as you figure it out. You can play football for me down here in Hershey with the Harrisburg Stampede. Marcus Coaster, NFL wide receiver, on this team. So I get down there and I lived with him for a little while. Then he moved me down to Hershey. And I start working, and then I start going to the gym on a regular basis. I got my boy down, my best friend, the godfather of my daughter. He moved down there with me to play, and it was beautiful, man. Life was starting to go up again. So as I started to get a few more calls from different teams and a couple Canadian teams, I started to train a little harder. And one day I was in the gym doing power cleaning. One day my whole right side just went out. By the grace of God, my boy caught the weight and pulled it away from me. And I went to the doctor, and they said he got two slight cracked vertebrae.
Wow.
And they said they could heal, or you could take a chance. So at the end of the day, I didn't say nothing because this was the only home I'd had in a long time.
Right. Wow.
So, by the grace of God, the team folded. The second team folded. And if I would have played, Queen, I would have been a paraplegic.
Wow. So those guys were pretty much getting you out of the situation without you having
Completely.
to...
Completely. But what happened was, when we found out that was the problem, I moved back down to Pennsylvania. But this time I coached football with Coach Bernie Nortowski. I was the youngest coach in the league. Led the league in sacks. All my defensive linemen led the league in sacks. I coached them all. And then one day they said, Will, we need somebody to go speak at the school. Do you want to volunteer, or do you want to walk up to volunteer? I said, okay, I'll do that. I went and I volunteered. I asked to speak to the worst students they had in the school. Within 30 minutes, I had them in tears. Within an hour, they called me back and they asked me, how much do you charge to speak?
Wow.
From that speech, I did 6 assemblies. From there, I did St. Joseph Hospital in Portland, Maine, St. Joseph Hospital in Reading, Pennsylvania. Then I go up and I do radio interviews. Then I move up and I do the Jacksonville Jaguars event.
Wow.
Then I do more assemblies. Then I do tattoo business. Then I do another business.
Wow.
And then I go to Italy and make history. As the first speaker ever to speak in Milan. It's on Fashion Week.
Wow, that's crazy. So all of this really, and for all the listeners out there, really, your story and your journey and being homeless so many times and all of that, it was preparing you and really getting you back in touch with your old coach, really preparing you for what it is that you were destined to do all along. That's crazy.
You know what it is, Queen? And I tell everybody that follow me, I say that God really has to make you rich on the inside before he makes you rich on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
And he does this, so you can always stay humble. You can always remember where you came from. You can always have love and compassion for people that's hurting inside. And the best way I could describe my motivation, and a guy in Italy said, your voice when you speak is as if you're talking to a person that's standing on a bridge ready to jump off. And if your words don't touch him, he's going to die. He said, you have the ability to make him get off the bridge. So what I did was I created motivation, not lions, tigers, and bears, but I talked about the heroin epidemic. I talked about suicide. I talked about genocide. I talk about real motivation. People that really feel as they don't have any purpose on this earth. Because I once was them.
Right. So
I tell the world all the time, and I don't care how far I go or how long this lasts or how long I even live. I can tell people that when I talk to you with my motivation, I'm not telling you anything. I'm talking to you as if I'm talking to myself. So we get motivated together.
Right.
I motivated myself, and the world just happened to hear. So now I'm starting to see these benefits, and I'm starting to see things happen. And I had no budget. I had no money. You know what I mean? So I tell people, don't tell me that your excuse is because of money.
Right. It's always a way.
It's not because of money. You just don't want to do the small thing. You don't want to do the small thing. You want a 6-piece puzzle when life is a 1,000-piece puzzle.
Right.
Feel me? So at the end of the day, you know what I mean? I tell everybody, man, we got greatness. Every single human being got greatness inside of it. We all are phenomenal.
Right.
And until you are addicted to your dream, until you are addicted, I'm talking about waking up, looking out the window, looking to the sky, waiting for the sun to come up at 4:30 in the morning, you will never reach that mountain of greatness. Because greatness is going to take blood, sweat, and tears.
And I want to, because you mentioned something that's so important a lot of people miss, you know, when they're kind of, when they're starting, you know, trying to build something. A lot of people, they don't want to do the small things. You know, you mentioned that, you know, you got asked to volunteer to speak, you know, and it's something that, you know, it wasn't something that you were thinking about, you know, but a lot of people, it's like they want to start something. They want to become a motivational speaker, or they want to start this business, this and that, but they don't want to start from the bottom. You know, they don't want to work their way, you know, up from that.
Yeah. And I know, you know, Quinn, you have built an amazing company with View Magazine. That is one of my favorite magazines. It's absolutely sensational.
Thank you.
I know for a fact that it's just like this, and I get this little sample to a lot of my youth. But it's like this. The power of free. Have you ever walked through the mall and a Chinese man gave you a free sample, or a Korean man, of that piece of, you know,
orange chicken,
teriyaki chicken, wonton chicken, whatever chicken he gave you.
Right.
You eat that piece, and you get to walking through that mall. 10 minutes pass, 20 minutes pass, 30 minutes pass. And then your stomach starts to growl. But the first thing you remember
is that free thing.
Is that free sample. So now, that one piece of free meat is going to get him a whole plate. He's going to get a guy to buy a whole plate of one free sample. That's business in a nutshell. If you show them that you value them, they're going to buy from you.
Right.
You don't sell products, you're selling yourself.
Right.
People buy off a person, not a product. A product cannot sell itself.
Right. Buy from who they like.
That's it in a nutshell right there, Queen.
And I want to talk about something else that you mentioned when you were speaking earlier. You said I give real motivation, because, you know, nowadays a lot of people want to become motivational speakers, and a lot of people, they feel like because they can come up with this good speech and this good word that they want to call themselves motivational speakers. But I want to get it from you, from your opinion. What really makes somebody a motivational speaker? Like, is everyone qualified to be a motivational speaker?
I'm going to tell you this. Everybody is not motivational speakers. I see it every single day. I'm going to tell you this. Well, our generation we believe what our opinion, we believe our opinion is what matters. I'm going to tell you this. With motivational speaking, the world must choose you. You can't choose the world.
That's deep.
The motivational speaking world, the world chooses you. They choose to call you a motivational speaker. If they don't call you one, you're not allowed to call yourself one.
Right.
This is motivation. Let me tell you something. It is blood, sweat. If you look at every single speaker, Tony Robbins, Les Brown, Eric Thomas, they have all been homeless.
Wow, I didn't know that.
All of them have been homeless.
Wow.
Les Brown was doing his first big speech living in an office in Detroit, Michigan.
Wow. Crazy.
You understand me? Like I said, they all started from the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Like you think about it, how can you motivate?
Haven't been through nothing.
How can you motivate if you never ever been through anything?
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's true. Mm-hmm.
It's impossible. It's impossible. And I tell people all the time, man, like, this is a process. You got to study your craft. You got to learn. You got to work it. You got to do it every single day. You got to speak in front of the mirror. You got to study other motivational speakers. I'm going to tell y'all a secret what William Hollis did. How I started watching videos in a free hotel on a computer. I looked at the best in the world. I took Tony Robbins, I took Eric Thomas, and I took Les Brown with a little bit of Zen Zig. You know what I did? I said, I'm going to take a little bit of every single one of them. They're all considered great. So what would that make me?
Mm-hmm. Greater.
What would that make me? If I take a little bit of all these people in different styles of motivation, it's going to give me one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm never going to be able to not talk to a crowd.
Right.
Any type of crowd. Entrepreneurs, filthy rich, filthy poor. I don't care what you are. I am able to motivate you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so at the end of the day,
and
the world chooses a motivational speaker, not the person.
Mm-hmm. And now I also want to talk about, for some people, because a lot of people, they may have their lives already planned out, or maybe their parents have planned their lives out for them. So, and a lot of times, the things that we want may not be what God wants for us. It may not be what we're supposed to be doing. And, same thing with you. Like, you wanted to play football, or at least you thought you wanted to play football, but here you are now, you doing motivational speaking for a living. So I want you to talk a little bit about the importance of, being open to what it is that, God wants you to do versus what you think you want to do or what you want to do.
Well, I struggle with that a lot along my life as well. And sometimes you get so used to something, you believe that that's what you're supposed to do because you love it. Mm-hmm. And what happened is, God will keep telling you that this is not what you're supposed to be doing, but your pride keeps saying that this is what I want to be. This is what I want to be seen as. See, a lot of people don't understand that without any sheep, there can be no shepherds. Mm-hmm. See, everybody wants to be great, but everybody is not made great. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Some people really have to work for it.
Right.
And when you want to, first of all, it goes back to the last conversation. People are telling themselves that they are this and that.
Right.
Nobody cares about your opinion about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta tell people, quite frankly, is you're doing something 100 times in a row and you're failing 100 times in a row. When are you gonna realize that this is just not it?
Right. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna tell you what my mentor told me, and it's gonna be two important keys about money. Young entrepreneurs. Don't ever try to make $1 million. Try to make $1 1,000,000 times.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
The first thing that made you your first dollar is going to make you your second dollar. Mm-hmm. So don't think about nothing else.
Right.
Those are two very important keys that will definitely take you far in life. So if you want to know what you were meant to be doing, go back to the thing that made you your first dollar by yourself. Mm-hmm. And do it again and again and again and again. I promise you, you'll thank me later.
That's deep. That's a different way of thinking about stuff. Because like you said, a lot of people, they just aim for, I want to make $1 million. I want to be a millionaire, this and that. And then, that's the only thing they think about. But that's so true what you said, think about how you make that first dollar. That's deep. I like that.
I said, man, just remember how you made that first dollar. Man, I trust me, King, of course, I done struggled. My mentor done beat my head in with it. Like, Will, Will, you wanna do all this other stuff, but you making money doing this.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You better do this 1,000,000 times.
Mm-hmm.
If they pay once, if they pay once, somebody else gonna pay again.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's how I go, Queen. I'm telling you, man. I tell everybody, you want to know how to be successful, man? Look, focus on those two things. Don't try to make $1 million. Make $1 million one time.
Right.
You feel me?
Now,
that was.
Go ahead.
Nah, you good? Go ahead, Queen.
Oh no, I wanted you to just tell everyone about your speeches, because I know you talk real heavily on suicide. I saw you put a video up, a couple different visuals up you did. I think it was about last month or something like that. And then just tell everyone about that, and then about your Young Kings and Queens speeches that you have.
The Young King speech was actually my first speech I ever dropped, man. That was the first speech ever, man. That's the speech that went viral all over the world. Potentially get me booked in Kenya and Nigeria. They're my number one fans, my queens and queens, my kings and queens of Nigeria. I love them to death. I love, man, they so sincere and sweet people. Young Kings did a lot of great things for me. That put me on the map and helped me, get signed to different speaking companies. I'm also a signed speaker with Fearless Motivation. We're #1 on iTunes, #1 sold on every music outlet in the world, and I'm the key #1 speaker for them, and that's a blessing in itself. Mm-hmm. But the suicide won't take me. I created that for I was at that point in my life when I wanted to commit suicide. I wanted to give up in life, and I actually remade that, and it's dropping soon on Basquiat Picasso page, one of the biggest motivational platforms on YouTube in the world. It's basically called my letter to the victim, and it's so powerful. Oh my God! It is by far my best speech ever, and when it drops, it's definitely gonna change a lot of perspectives and gonna set this world on fire like a lot of my other speeches. But like I said, man, my style of motivation is very different. I don't write this. I don't script this. This is all from the heart. I believe when you speak from the heart, you touch the heart. And I got the ability to create speeches on the spot.
Wow.
So, you know what I mean? Like that's just that's just how I am. If you wanted to give me a topic now, we can talk about something now if you want one.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay.
Absolutely, that's my gift. Man, the turnover time is very fast. I make about 10 speeches a night.
Wow.
My catalog is full of 800 speeches that the world ain't even heard yet, and every single one of them go over 100,000 plus.
Wow. Crazy.
Yeah. So it's definitely. I'm gonna tell people this is something I want to tell y'all. People ask, when do you know you have found your gift? It's when people start to pay you, and it's completely easy to you. When you find your gift, you start to make easy money. Money starts to chase you. Because what they think is amazing is your gift. It's what you were born to do. Just like you breathe. It's easy.
Right.
So that's when you find what you love. That's when you find what you're destined to do. It becomes easy. Second nature. On command. Anytime. Rain, sleet, or snow. I got you. I'm ready. I'm prepared.
Yep. That's crazy.
That's it.
Well, we have to bring you back on, because you definitely hit on a lot of different topics that can really be a whole nother conversation by themselves. So, but just
absolutely, Queen.
Tell everybody, tell all the listeners, what are some of your upcoming projects you're working on? Just let everybody know how they can book you and learn more about you and everything else you have going on.
I'm actually working on something in London, Ottawa, Canada. I also have a program, a nonprofit that I'm getting ready to start up called The Phenom, and also partner with another one called oh my God, I do so much. Oh my God. Give me time, people. We talked about so much. You know what? I'm gonna get back to y'all on that one. I completely forgot. I do so much stuff, but yeah, I know my other nonprofit, the Phenom, is definitely in the works. We also have the Summer DC youth event that we have out there. They have out there every year that I got connected with through one of the Washington Redskins last year. Like I said, man, it's a whole bunch, Queen. I got my website is updated every single day, and I'ma honestly tell all my people, my entrepreneurs, I am bad at one thing, and that is scheduling. I am because I can prepare speeches on the spot. I don't. When I get a gig, I just know the topic offhand, and I'll be preparing for months inside my head. So my team takes care of my calendar, but my website also updates all my stuff and where I'll be and what I'll be doing. I just wake up, read the calendar, and I go be great.
Right.
So I'm young and I'm up and coming, kings and queens, man. I want y'all to know, man. It's a great time to be alive, even though it's a lot of bad things happening. Kids being murdered by the police, things are happening, but I want y'all to remember one thing, man. This soul of ours is untouchable. The spirit of us kings and queens is almost unbreakable. You know what I mean? And I want y'all to believe that until you are not afraid to die, you won't live.
Wow.
And I want y'all to really listen to me. Until you are not afraid to die, you can never live. Because I want you to say, I was listening to KRS one day, and he said something about, say rock star without moving your lips. And I said rock star. And you people, the audience can try it. You try and say rock star without saying it. Just say it inside your head. And he asked us, he said, do you hear it? And you actually can hear it if you guys try. And you know what that is? That's your spirit. This outer body, this is just a shell. I honestly believe that we get to live this life until we get it right. And I don't let anybody else tell me different. You know why? Because I believe the Lord died for us. He died for our sin. So I don't take half of the story of the Bible. I take the whole Bible. And I want you cats out there that hear people say, oh, you're not holy, or you're not this, or you're not that. Well, I'm going to tell you this. God never had saints in his clique. He had thieves, he had murderers, he had all kinds of people.
Right.
Because he knew they were strong enough to go fight. And I'm no different than those people that he had go fight with him. I'm a kid from the projects, from the bottom, from nothing. Grew up watching his mama every day. And before he was 27 years old, which I am today, I don't see any of my family. It's like they all vanished. So now, what God has done, he's released me from that bondage of having to be locked down somewhere. And he gave me the freedom to roam the earth and do what I need to do for him. Like I said, I was a kid with a learning disability. I couldn't read until I was 16 years old. And the words and the motivation that people hear, the substance, I'm going to tell you, I close my eyes and I pray. And God speaks through me. I don't remember a word that I say when I speak. That's how I know it's God playing. It's not me. I say King Hollis, but it's all God.
Right.
King Hollis is a part of the brand, part of the the major scheme of things. But the big picture is God, man. That's what it's about. And anybody out there that feel that God isn't real, I'm going to tell you that a man has convinced you that God isn't real. That's not God's action. Because what we believe love is something given to us. And love is not a thing, an object, any of that. Love is a place. And it's where you walk in and where you dwell at. And when you walk into that area, you will feel love.
Mm-hmm.
You feel what I'm saying? And even though God loves us, he allows murder, chaos, and all that craziness. Mm-hmm. But he still loves us.
Right.
So when everything is going wrong on the earth, don't turn your back on him. Mm. Just because he's not giving you something.
Right.
Love is nothing to be given. It's something to be walked into. You walk into love. You ever walk into a room and say, oh my God, I feel the love.
Mm-hmm.
It's a place. It's not a thing. It's not a flower. It's not a dinner. It's a place. And it's your choice to put yourself in that place. Mm-hmm. So stop buying counterfeit love, Queen and Kings. Understand that love is a place. Love is already where you are. Mm-hmm. That'll be one last thing I say to the audience, man. I love you guys, man. I hope you guys follow me.
What's
I got a lot more motivation in me.
Tell us, what's your Instagram, Facebook, and I don't think you did that earlier.
My Facebook is William Hollis. My Instagram, William Hollis, regular William, Hollis. My Instagram is Hollis Motivation _official. And my Twitter is The Speaker 92.
Okay. Well, I thank you for coming on and just giving us your time tonight. And I know for a fact that the listeners out there definitely gained some good knowledge and some inspiration and everything. So everybody listening, be sure to check out William Hollis. Reach out to him, book him for your next event, and just reach out to him. Now, the one last thing, do you do one-on-one consultations if people want to do like a one-on-one type thing with you?
Absolutely. All you would do is you go to my website at www.hollismotivation.com, and you will go to book William Hollis. You'll write your receipts, do like a consultation, and we'll go from there. Send me an email, and we're gonna make it happen. We're gonna grow that business.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to this week's episode of In the Boardroom podcast. I am Adrena Martin Tolbert, and to learn more about me, visit my website online at www.whoisadrena.com. Thank you for tuning in.